Who asks you? Hel- Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Conversation with the Love Crusader. I was still waiting for my banner to play, and the next thing it just came up. So we're just going to go back to our intro, and I'll see you in a minute. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Conversation with the Love Crusader. Yeah, it's been a while that we've been live, and we're live today with a very, 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 very interesting topic. I know you don't want to miss this, and you don't want your friends to miss it. So please remind everyone, let's get on board. So, if you are coming across this platform for the first time, it's called Conversation with the Love Crusader. It's a platform where we talk about love, we talk about life, we talk about relationships, and we try to have fun while we do so. So, we're going to be learning today, and we're going to be talking about gray divorce. I know it's a phrase that is not common, it's strange to some people. So we'll try to break it down. We'll try to talk about what it is and why we are highlighting it, you know, today. So I've got someone in the studio with me, and yeah, for the first time, you're just going to hear a voice, you'll not see a face, but you also still learn. So don't worry about it. Julius is in the studio. He's a brother that I just met not too long ago, and our ideas resonate with each other. You know, when you just click with a person, our ideologies, the way he thinks about life and marriage. And I said, look, you need to come to talk to my people. But not everyone is there. Some people are camera shy.
I'm just camera shy.
Julius, welcome, Julius. Just say what to the people so we can continue.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all. I hope you find this session very interesting and very educative, and I hope it changes someone's life today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's our goal. Our goal is to change your life. Our goal is to help your relationship, even as we help ours. Sometimes some people ask me, "Oh, is it because you've got it? You got everything together. That is why you do this." Make you feel like maybe it's perfect in your world. It's not. We are all learning. You're learning. I'm learning, and we've come again to learn today. So let's talk about it by way of trying to give a definition. What is great divorce, Julius? What's great divorce?
Well, in the very simplest of terms, I think great divorce just means divorce that happens later in life. Usually happens between couples in their late 40s or 50s, not meaning to peg an age on it, but it happens really between individuals who have been married for long, and then for one reason or the other they feel it's time to go their separate ways, and it does happen. Of course, the name comes from that idea that people at that stage are already graying, so it comes from that idea, with age generally, and it's a noticeable trend in recent times. And naturally, divorce rate has become very high, in general among younger couples. But now we find out even among older couples, is even increasing more than before. You know,
Mm,
yeah.
exactly. He has said it. That's it. It's talking about divorce in old age. And it's so surprising how it's becoming so common and so popular in this generation. Like he said, you would think maybe it's young people who are brash, young people who are not patient, But talking about people who have been married 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, and then they are talking about divorce. We're talking about people who are 50 years and above that are now divorcing. Let's talk about some statistics around this so people understand why we think it is now an issue. Generally, before, I think it's young people that used to divorce, right, Julius? What do you think?
Yeah, in general terms, anybody would even think it that this thing is common amongst young people. You know, people who probably would find themselves in situations where they may have felt they made one wrong decision or the other too early in life, or due to one reason or the other, they are easy to quickly move on because they feel they can still meet someone else before they grow old. So that used to be the common norm, before now.
Yeah. Then surprisingly now, people who are even older are the ones who are calling it quits. So this is why it's a concern. It's for me. I wonder how in old age people are thinking about being alone when
Hmm.
you would have thought, okay, if I want to live, let me live now. No, it's not even just the being alone; it's a sacrifice because I've
Hmm.
been married for a while, so I can relate with how long and the patience, the endurance, the sacrifice it takes to stay married for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and
Hmm.
then to be able to throw all that away in old age. I think for me that is what is concerning. But let's talk about why do you think it's on the rise?
Well, if you actually look at the whole scenario around divorce, you can easily say that, oh, it's the same reasons people leave marriage because they get to that point where they feel they need to just move on with their lives due to one reason or the other. But in terms of grey divorce, I think we need to look at it very closely. Because if you have lived with someone for, say, 20, 25 years, 15, 20, 25 years, 30 years, and at that point you feel you need to move on, a lot of things could be the reason. And one of the most common reasons which people grow apart generally is when, sorry, one of the common reasons why people go apart is when they have grown, but rather than growing together, they grow apart.
Mm,
They have maybe one vision. One The husband has one vision, the wife has one vision, and they feel like as time comes later in life, they really want to be somewhere else. Some of them may say, I haven't accomplished this thing in life that I wanted to accomplish. This woman
mm,
has stopped me from accomplishing it all this time, or this man has stopped me from accomplishing it all this time. So I feel I still have some time in my life to make that decision. Sometimes it could even be a result of a very strong decision because of a midlife crisis. Someone could be in the middle of a midlife crisis and they would say, you know what, I think I've had enough. I want to just turn a new leaf and enjoy the rest of my life. And they feel the best way to enjoy the rest of their life is to move away from their partner that they've been married to for a long time. And then we
mm,
agree, of course, there could be some other reasons. It could be financial, it could even be infidelity. Maybe
mm,
some infidelity issues happened earlier on in the marriage that were forgiven. But then as the children grew, for those of them who have children, and the children moved away from the home, they felt, you know what, I can't still find myself healing from this infidelity. Let me move on and enjoy or seek new intimacy from somewhere else. So it's something that is very present in our daily lives, all around us. You see older people moving out of marriages for very, very weird reasons to many people, but to them they understand it because they know that
mm,
that's what that is what the solution to their unhappiness would be. Yeah.
mm, mm, This is a serious matter. It's a serious matter. And I like there's a point you've made. There are lots of points you've made. I totally agree with a lot of them. And the one that is really, really touching me to an extent is talking about when the children grow and leave the house.
mm.
So when they come to that empty nest syndrome, because the challenge is that there are many couples who are married now and staying married for the children.
For the children, yeah.
And I've heard many people give that advice. Maybe not here, growing up and back home. They always say, don't leave because of your children. So this
Mm,
person is already in a bad marriage. They are young, but they have kids. And people will be
mm.
telling them, don't leave because of your children. Where will you put your children? It's good for children that they have their father, that they have their mother. You understand? Let
Yeah.
them grow in a proper family. Now, there are many people who have stayed because of that. And then when the children start leaving the house, and it's not just the man and the woman, they find out that they don't have any connection. The man and the woman have nothing to discuss. There's nothing holding them together. They
Mm,
no longer have any similarity of purpose, like you said from the beginning now. They've
yeah.
drifted apart and they did not even know. In the middle of the school runs, choosing school, choosing university, where would the child go, graduations and birthday, and all those activities, in the midst of it all, they
Mm,
lost the friendship, they've lost the romance, they've lost the marriage, but
yeah.
they did not
Yeah.
even. So the crack become more obvious at the point where the children have now left and it's
Have
just the
not
two.
left home. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's
And once they become independent, they feel like they've lost that glue that holds them together. And then what's left? They just, they basically just want to move on with their lives. Oh, we stayed together for the kids, but what about us now?
There's something that someone said to me one time, and this was a professional, so a psychologist. I don't know how whether someone is going to dispute it with us. They said menopause is also a major challenge
Mm,
because there are hormonal issues going on with the woman, and
mm,
she needs maybe some form of support and understanding which a partner might not be able to give. Or, like she said, that when a woman becomes menopausal, her threshold to
mm,
bear and endure becomes limited. So she's no
mm.
longer able to endure. Do you think this is the case? Because the research also shows that in this era of increasing grey divorce,
Mm.
70% of the instances are initiated by women. Women are the
Yeah,
ones who initiate this divorce mode. Do you think that is part of it?
you actually have a very good point. And coincidentally, there's actually a study. I think it was in late. I think it was in 2018, 2017, just before year 2020, before the COVID thing,
Mm,
when there was a survey that was done in the UK, and it was actually reported that one in four women said that menopause put a strain in their relationships. So
mm,
um, you could easily argue that yes, menopause could be a very strong causative cause for grey divorce, even though it may not be directly linked to the health factors that come with menopause itself. But when you look at the physical and emotional changes that occur in women, naturally the easy mood swings, anxiety can come in. That's a
mm,
point where depression can easily come in. Some of them even have reduced sexual drive, you
mhm,
know, and
mhm,
then you find out that there is a lot going on in the man's mind, thinking about what's going on in the wife's mind. And when you have issues with communication naturally, and some of them, and men, we men sometimes our ego does not want us to go all out in terms of communication, or especially when it becomes a bit when that door hasn't been open in a long
mm,
while. You start
mm,
feeling, why should I be the one to go to ask her about her sexual life? Oh, we are no longer kids. So both of them stay silent and all that. And when you're looking at dryness, painful intercourse,
mm.
decreased desire, the woman just wants someone who values her more than someone who values her in bed, who someone who values her as a person. So there could be so many reasons why you could say yes, menopause can be indirectly linked to it. And the funny thing is that many women don't even realize the effect of menopause on the marriage. And unfortunately, men do not realize, because if a woman doesn't realize, she wouldn't even be able to say, you know what, Oga, it's not me at this point. Just give me some time. Let me get used to this new routine my body is giving me.
Mm.
So you will find that the woman does not really realize, so she can't even relate that to the husband. And when that happens, it can cause a strain. Men sometimes, especially men who have a very strong sexual drive, it can give them, it can turn into something else. It can start creating emotional issues. Some women start experiencing menopause as early as 35. How do you want to handle that for the rest of your life? The man will start thinking about, going out there. Before you know what's happening, infidelity has set in. Before you know what's happening, loss of communication, and a whole lot of other things. So yeah, not tying everything to menopause, but it is a great factor that we shouldn't overlook, in this scenario here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You see, blessed art thou, Julius, as a man that already knows this.
Absolutely, and it's a very, very strong. It's a very strong thing that we should always consider.
I
When
was
it
having coffee.
comes like
I was having
that.
coffee with a friend of mine some weeks back, and I said to her that I think that I attended this webinar and workshop for menopause, which was really, really eye opening for me, and I felt that men should also be attending it.
Mm,
They should
mm,
not be offering it to women alone, especially married men, because it
mm.
will go a long way to help. What you don't know, how do you handle it?
Yeah,
It will go a long way to help the both parties to understand where they are, why some people, not everyone, because we all react, to things differently.
yeah,
Why some people react the way they do, so you can be patient with them, know how to treat them and how to respond to them. It's just really disheartening for me, and I'm really saying this with all sincerity as a woman. It's painful for me when I hear that women are the ones who are initiating this. I know that
mm,
there is the aspect of financial independence. And someone
mm,
has said this to me before, that as far as they are concerned, the financial independence of women is a curse,
mm.
because they feel that it's making women not submissive. It makes women feel like I can take care of myself, so I can't take, excuse my French, bullshit from any man. Why should I stay here and take, the nonsense? So it's making women impatient in marriage. Do you think that's another challenge?
Well, when I hear the words, okay, first of all, what is financial independence? Financial independence simply means when you, as a person or an entity, can actually manage, your finances or that entity's finances, without resorting to, um, what would I say? Without resorting to depending on someone else or another source, right?
Mm,
Now, when you're talking about financial independence in marriage, when I hear about the word independent, what comes to mind is it shouldn't come into marriage. I'm sorry to say, but that is how I view it. Now, when you're
mm,
talking about independence, you're talking about the man not wanting to depend on the wife,
mm,
or the wife not wanting to depend on the husband. The moment you start seeing each other as two different people, that is where you will start having problems. And let me explain it. Now, remember that the institution of marriage, whether it is the Christian institution or in any other religion, and
mm.
most especially, fundamentally, marriage is meant to be the coming together of two entities.
Yes.
Now, what that means is that you should see each other as complementing yourselves. That is why when you, let's say you're younger and you're seeking your other half, or even in older age and you're seeking your other half, it's like you're looking for attributes of someone who complements you. That is why in most cases you will not go for someone who is exactly you.
Mm,
In fact, in most cases, if you meet someone who is exactly you, that relationship will not work out. The reason
yeah.
is because you're looking for something that you value, something that awes you, something that is very important,
Mm,
that complements you. Now, when you found that person and that person also sees that you complement them, that is the person you're made for. That is
mm,
how marriage start. That's how relationships start. Now, if you go ahead to take it a notch further and you say you want to get married, it becomes easier because you are basically fusing yourself into one unit. That is why you find out that if you want to do something as an individual, the speed at which you use to accomplish it will be lower than the speed you would accomplish it as a couple, as a married couple. The reason is because you are now fused together as one, and
Yeah.
because you have been complemented by so greater advantage because you are going to accomplish it better. Now let's come back to the issue of financial independence. If at some
Mm.
point in life you have been married to someone, you have been growing together, you now suddenly say you want to have financial independence. What normally happens is that you will find yourself making decisions that are only suited for yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
bear in mind, there is nothing wrong in looking out for yourself as an individual because whether you want to take it or not, yes, you are still an individual, you're still a whole human being, you know.
Yeah.
But again, the point is financial independence should not be done without your partner knowing about it. Your partner should be able to support you in your journey to financial independence. That's what financial independence in marriage should be modeled after. So even though you are getting independence, it does not mean that you're pulling yourself away or hiding your finances away from your partner. Your partner should be able to know about it. I'm talking about for a man or a woman. There is nothing wrong in saying you want to have your own separate account. There's nothing wrong in saying you want to have, maybe you even want to have your own business. But the thing is that whatever you decide to do that should be in your name, let your partner also come into the picture. Not necessarily dictate how you run the business, but pray together about it. Talk together about how you want to help each other to make that business grow. So at the end of the day, you know that as you're winning, your partner is also winning. At the end of the
Mm.
day, it's a win for both of you. But the moment you start seeing financial independence as you doing your thing by yourself as a separate individual, you're already missing it. There is nothing wrong with independence, but you have to do it in such a way that you don't put your marriage in jeopardy. And that's what many of us do, unfortunately, these days. We just feel independence is, oh, I want to be an independent woman. I want to look out for myself. I want to look out for me and my kid. The moment you say me and my kid, me and my, that is where you start missing it.
Mm.
That's
But
the thing.
let's I agree with you totally because when I was thinking about it, I thought of it that maybe it's part of it. I don't want to see it as a cost the way someone has said, but
Mm,
I think maybe it actually um contributes because in those days many women stayed, many men and women, not just, so let's not generalize it, many men and women stayed in unhappy relationships because they were afraid of what was going to happen if they leave. That
mm,
is them not being able to survive on their own. Maybe they don't have a job, especially with women. Let's be
yeah,
sincere. Maybe they don't
yeah,
have a job, they don't have a source of income. Oh, how will I take care of myself and my three children? But now the woman is working, maybe she's got her own money, and she feels like, I've got my money, I can pay my rent, I can pay my bills. Why am I taking this from a man? Why?
mm,
Especially in a bad marriage. So
yeah,
instead of working, trying to see how to fix it, they rather pull out.
yeah. In fact, the issue of financial independence is more of a solution rather than a cause.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a
Exactly.
blessing. Yes.
Exactly. It's supposed to be a solution and not and not a way to for me if you've gotten to that point where you feel you're so unhappy due to one reason or the other, yes, you have to definitely look out for yourself because the truth is that not everybody is going to end up, happily ever after. Yes, there could be sad stories, unfortunately, but then financial freedom, financial independence should be sought after as a way to protect yourself, you know, and we shouldn't seek it while we're actively in a happy marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see. We should do
Good.
things together as one. As so if you're husband and wife with someone, financial independence should be defined in a different way. It should be
Mm-hmm.
defined in a different way. You should both be independent of the outside world, not you as an entity, as a wife or as a husband, being independent of your husband or the wife as a partner. because your partners is basically like business partners. Have you ever seen two business partners say they want financial independence? When you're starting a business, go, I want to be independent. That means the business is going to fail before it works. It no longer is a union, you know.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay, one last point. There's a lot that is packed
Mm,
into the reasons why. We're still talking about why
yeah,
grade divorce is on the increase. If you're just joining us and you don't know what we're talking about, the topic today is gray divorce. We're talking about gray divorce. Remember, this month we've been talking about divorce and remarriage. We've been talking about divorce and remarriage, and today we're talking about gray divorce. So, and we've been exploring reasons why it is on the increase. I have not given you people the statistics. They say it is 38% increase of for grade divorce in the last 10 years. 38% increase. It went from 6.8 to 38%. So between the 1990s to 2000, 2010, it was 6.8% of older people. So great divorce is talking about older people leaving marriages after decades of being married. And this now has increased to 38%. And we've also been told that in most cases, two-thirds of these divorces are initiated by women. So we've been exploring the topic, and with Julius, Julius is in the house. Julius is my friend and my brother. And we're talking today about why, what is going on. We're going to come to what we can do to prevent. You know, that's always our module on this platform. We are not here to just give you the bad stories. We're also here to help to talk about how we can prevent and how we can stop this trend, because I think everyone gets into marriage and wants to be married for life. You know, when people are getting married, that wedding day, you see how beautiful they are. They are happy, they are joyful. I don't think at any point on that day is anyone is thinking, let me just go and see. If it doesn't work, I'll go out. Julius, do you think anyone is thinking that on their wedding day?
that will be the last thing on anyone's mind.
You know, they are so happy. And these days, this generation, the way they dance, I was telling my husband the other day, thank God we would not marry since. So how would I have done this dance step if I don't know how to dance?
Yeah,
Because
marriage is such a beautiful thing, beautiful, beautiful thing.
it is a
Wedding
beauty.
day, flowers, everything. The best day. People say that's the best day of their life, and nobody's gonna walk into the venue that day thinking, "Oh, I just want to have this for just a few years and then I'll move on." I don't think that's it on anyone's mind. But unfortunately,
Exactly.
life happens.
Life happens, my brother. Okay, another thing that I saw in my research is the talk about early bloomers. So there's the statistics around people who marry early. So it's as if they because they marry early and they are now, I think they you were mentioning something about midlife crisis. They are not going through midlife crisis at the point where they've been married for long.
For long,
That
yeah.
also causes, some strain in the relationship. But is it because they married early, or is it because something disjointed has happened in the relationship? Because I know that in many places, like you were mentioning, lack of communication now, there are many people who are taking themselves, their partners, they take their partner for granted at a certain point. When they've now reached that level of, where they go again, let me use our local parlance,
Mm,
like we've been married now 10, 20 years, and what is there? Maybe they even feel like this person, she's beginning to show some wrinkles. She has now big tummy from giving birth to children. The man too has spot belly. Where is this one going again? I think
mm.
that element of taking each other for granted is the problem. It's not the marrying early. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, to be
Okay.
honest, because remember, it doesn't take one tree to grow a forest, and in the same light, it doesn't take it takes little bits and pieces of things, to crumble a marriage. No one goes into marriage to think that they want to have it to fail after a year or 2 years or 3 months or even 30 years. People go into it for life.
Mm,
So really, growing apart is the number one problem for marriages. It's the number one enemy. If you can fight growing apart as a
Mm.
couple, then you have already nipped like 90% of the problems in the bud. Because if you're able to grow together, nothing is going to stop you. And no one said marriage, comes easy. I got married like very early.
Mm-hmm.
I just woke up on one day and said, you know what, I'm 30 years now, and if I get married now, my first child would be 20, around 20 years when I'm 50. Yes, it was a sort of wake up call for me. My dad had obviously gotten married way, way,
Earlier.
way older actually.
Oh, older. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he got married older, and he was in his 60s while we were still young. So I
Mm.
felt, you know what, I don't want that for me and all that. My mom, got married early, so there was a big age difference between both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like the fact that my mom was still looking very beautiful and all that, when we grew up. So we grew up, we could easily relate with my mom and all that. So I really liked that. So I wanted that for myself as a man, even though I knew I lived in a world where to get married is very difficult early as a man. But then I did it, pulled it off. I already had someone waiting, who we, of course, we valued each other so much above everything. And it happened. And how many years down the line now? More than 10 years down the line, things haven't been rosy. That's the truth. So when I say the marriage is not rosy, it's not rosy for people who have just gotten married yesterday. Neither is it rosy for people who have been in marriage for a very long time.
True.
But there,
Very true.
but there is one thing that my dad always tells me every time I speak to him about my marriage, the challenges I face, because he's such a good role model. Luckily for me, they stayed together. They're both still alive, and so he's a very good role model.
God
And
bless.
when one thing it tells me is, it is you against the world. It is both of you against the world. It is not both of you against yourselves, and that
Mm.
thing sticks. So if you are able to see your marriage as you as a team playing against growing apart. So your team is your family, you yourself, your partner, your family against the world. So
Mm.
you're basically fighting the war of not wanting to grow apart. And in that war, you're going to employ a lot of different tactics. You are going to employ communication, emotional connection,
Mm.
financial unity, things that will make sure that you're together, things that will help you. Those are the kinds of things that will fight you. But really, chipping a lot of things chip away as marriages. And the biggest one of them is growing apart. And it will come in different forms.
Mm.
It come in form of infidelity, like I've said earlier. It could be that
Yeah.
maybe something happened along the line, someone made a mistake along the line, and it's difficult for the other partner to move on. It could be that maybe someone made a stupid financial decision, and the person, they just couldn't forgive themselves, or the partner couldn't forgive them, and it affected their emotions, it affected their mental health. It could be a lot, to be honest. And that's not even talking about the health part of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Oh my goodness, I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I hope that you are learning. Our viewers out there, you're learning. Please remember to share. I always say you could be saving someone's relationship just by sharing this video. There could be a friend, they have not told you, you don't know what they are going through, but what we're sharing here could help someone, just hearing some of these things and learning, okay, it's not just about me, or it's not just happening with me. It's a challenge. I have to face it. I have to try to work to ensure that we don't grow apart. Remember what we said last week? You must be able to show that you have done all before you throw in the towel, before you start talking about divorce, before you start talking about packing your load. Make sure that you can tell yourself that you've done all. And in the doing of all is part of learning, learning what can I do together, actually, because One other challenge, and I think it plays into the growing apart that Julius is referring to, that you have in a relationship, is when one person seems to be trying, one person is learning, one person is going out there to get information, one person wants to do new things, one person wants to repair. And then you have the other person who is still, maybe a man or a woman who is still using the formula of their great great grandfather's marriage.
Mm.
So do marriage in 2025. Do you
Mm.
get? This is how my father used to do it, or this is how my mother used to do it. That may not be working. That formula may not be working because yes, our parents have formulas that really worked that we can
Mm.
learn, like the one you referred to with your dad now, very good advice. But there are some models that are not working. For example, what do you call it? Role playing at home. You hear them, they'll tell you, oh, it's a woman that should be in the kitchen, it's a woman that should clean, it's a woman that should. That's so
Mm. Yeah.
1960s.
Yeah.
Who's still
And
thinking that about women?
yeah, and a lot of us are still getting it wrong in that regard, because even though we say, oh, it's an old, in practical sense, in practically, we still find ourselves doing that. We still find ourselves pulling away from the basics, like the basic things, like just helping our partners, you know, those little things around the house, those little chores around the house, you
Exactly.
know.
And I think, Julius, what makes it more, would I say, for me, what cracks my head about it is you expect this woman to maintain that role and you want her now to still also be a provider.
Mm.
Because think about it, yes, our women in those days, they were homekeepers. They stayed at home, took care of the children, took care of the house, cook, clean, wash, did all of those hard chores. A lot of them did not have any market they were selling or business they were doing, or in addition to that.
Mm.
But now people want women, some men want their women to be bosses in the boardroom. They want them to bring the money home. They want them to pay the school fees. They want them to be there emotionally for the children. They want them to be in the kitchen. They want them to do the cleaning of house. And how is this one person supposed to, like I said, they might do it when the children are around just to be able to help their
Mm.
children grow. But by the
Yeah.
time the children leave, resentment will set in. If it's just both of you and this person is still the only one doing all of this, it becomes too much. Okay, now let's go. Let's try to bring some positives in the conversation. What
Mm.
can we do? I know you've mentioned one, which is the going apart, growing apart. How can we stay married for life? We don't want great divorce to continue to increase. What can we do so that these statistics can reduce?
Yeah, thank you, sis. I'm going to pick up on the last statements you made, and then we'll walk our way back. Now, this in practical terms, this is a very, very common thing. Women, and of course, with the revolution of the late 20th century, where women were encouraged to go to work, and the world basically opened its arms, for women to be liberated. It really helped us. It gave us very strong women, independent women in terms of the workplace. It gave us women who could actually speak up for themselves in the society. It gave
Mm-hmm.
us women who could lead countries. It gave us women who could own their own companies and do a lot of great things. Now that said, um, the world got it wrong in the sense that we failed to acknowledge that women had a fundamental, um, how would I say it, a way of looking at life, you know. Now, women naturally are very caring personalities, and that is why they bring that to work as well. So,
Yeah,
even when you see a woman as a president, she would not be quick to jump to have a war with another country,
we are not
because
telling you. Yeah.
women tend to preserve more rather than to just cancel things easily.
Mm,
Now,
mm,
this in the same vein, um, women bring that sense of preservation. Of course, they bring it from their deep down personality. Now, in the home, women naturally want to preserve the home. They want to take care of the home. They want to do everything to make sure that the home doesn't fail. So the thing is that when women get married, they want to preserve the home. They want to make sure that it is the best. Now, the problem is that when their partner, when the husband does not understand how to support the woman in the sense that she doesn't feel left alone, then
Mm,
problems might set in. And what do
mm.
I mean by that? So, for example, the little things that we talked about, just say the thank you. Oh, thank you for helping me to pick this thing up. Oh, thank you for being so wonderful with the kids. Or thank you for being this. Thank you for being that. Just a little thank
Sorry,
you.
wait, Julius, let me not interrupt you, but you see this thing you just said is so important. I don't know how we're going to loud it. People
Mm,
don't understand the just that simple appreciation.
yeah,
Appreciate the little things. Appreciate the little things. It's a big deal. You take it for granted
absolutely.
that this woman is always doing it or that man is always doing it. The man is always providing, he's always bringing the food. It's always, you just eat food. You don't, you just provide money. You just ask. So it's now a normal thing. You take it
Mm,
for granted that the person is doing that rather than appreciate it. Go on. Very good point. I
yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. So it's those little things that count because those are the things that we encounter every day. Really, you want to be seen as having value in the sight of your partner.
Mm,
So it doesn't matter even if you're not that person who goes out to work every day, but the fact that you are at home and you're taking care of the kids, you're taking care of the home, and someone comes back and says, "Oh, you know what, you've really done this well. Thank you so much." And the person doesn't have to wait for your birthday. The person buys you something that you love, or something out of out of the blue. You just see something. It doesn't have to be an expensive gift or a big car. Or
mm,
just something that
mm,
says, "Oh, thank you." It could be a dress. It could be a pair of shoes. It could be a pair of slippers or something. Just say, "Oh, thank you for this. Thank you for this." And of course, you know the taste of the person that you're married to. You know what they
yeah, I
like.
know what they
Those
like.
kinds
Yeah,
of things, can help as well. Now, let's talk about the big things, and let's also talk about the fact that you have more women going to work and how that also sits into this whole thing. What you
yeah.
would find is that yes, women are less likely to be as productive in the home when it comes to um, child rearing, looking after the home, and
Mm-hmm.
then it can also put a strain in the relationship. But then again, if you are a man who values a woman who is also who is also working and trying to be a strong person, um, trying to make something of her life, she wants to make an impact in the world, then you should also be that man who realizes that she would need all the support. And let me tell you something, in most cases, women are very, very, very heavily dependent on being supported by their husbands. And when they don't get that support, they feel like probably they are not really getting that support, and because of that, they pull back, and then they lose, that interest in themselves growing. If there's one
Mm,
thing I love about how I've been able to do this with my wife, I've made sure that I come second in terms of my drive, and I always try to push my wife for. Not that I don't want to excel. Not that I didn't want to excel in life, but I realized my own potentials, and I also realized that for me to be able to succeed in life, what is my yardstick for success? I want my wife to have accomplished this. I want
mm,
my son to have accomplished this. I want both of us as a family to have accomplished this so that our children can look at us and say, yes, we have two successful parents. But the thing is that it doesn't come easy. It comes with a lot of sacrifice, especially on the husband's side. And I will say this because naturally women tend to stay at home and do a lot of the house chores, prepare the food and all that. But when you bring that kind of scenario, that kind of situation in, and you really want your family to be a successful family, then both of you have to work together. You have to do away with, oh, she's supposed to be the one taking care of this. I'm supposed to be, yes, you can actually share the duties, but don't let it be weighing on one person. It's a whole
You know,
lot. Can't even finish.
So I visited one bachelor yesterday, a recent bachelor, because not too long he started living on his own, and he was saying to me, I just realized that cooking is a lot. And I was like, what do you mean? Because this is somebody I know. He used to cook even when he was living with his parents. Despite being a man, he cooks a lot. He said, no, now that I'm living on my own, I realized that the main cooking itself is half of the work. The cleaning up after, I have to wash my pots, I have to make sure the area is clean. He said the preparation before, the cleaning up after. My
Mm.
goodness, women are trying. And I said, yes, now you're getting to the level where we will soon talk about marriage with you. Because now you're beginning to see the reality. You will not appreciate it, what it takes for a woman to put a meal on the table, and not just take it for granted that she's a woman now, And like you
Yeah,
said rightly, it's a choice. It's a choice. If you want a wife who is a high flyer, you want her to do well in the boardroom, as a man, you must be willing to support her to do so.
absolutely.
Vice
Absolutely.
versa. As a man, if you want to also fly high, you want to go, just ask for the support of your wife. There are lots
Yeah.
of women I know who have had to step in at points where their husband needed to give 100% focus to whatever it is they are chasing.
Mm.
The only challenge is that sometimes we forget that there's no way you can juggle this thing without the support of the other. Just like you said, in our language, they will say a woman's fame. And I think a woman referring to somebody's wife, your money has no fame if your husband's hand is not in it, something like that. A woman's wealth
Mm.
has no fame if the husband's hand is not in it. So the women still like it. I know women who are very, very wealthy. They can buy things for themselves. But you see that one shoe that their husband bought for them, they don't play with it too.
Mm.
Not because they can't afford that shoe, but the sentiment, just like you're saying now, that you're attached to it, you're coming from work, you remember that, this shoe, my wife will like it. Not the one that she has to cry and complain and talk, then you now went and reluctantly buy one. No. But just on your own, you just look at it, this woman will like this, or this woman will need this.
Yeah,
I think a lot of
absolutely.
women like that. You anticipate their need, and you're able to speak to that need even before it becomes an issue, not wait for it to become a problem. Well, there's a whole lot that we can talk about: how to keep our romance alive, how to not
Absolutely.
drift apart, how to invest in your relationship. I think the summary of it all, from what Julius has said today, is that marriage is work. And we've been saying it here. Every good marriage you see out there that you are envying, someone is working. People are working. It's best when the two of you are working together. Both of you have agreed that you will stay together and work at it. I want to bring one conversation, Julius,
Mm.
because this great topic, we will not finish without mentioning this one.
Okay.
Do you realize that there are people now, gray people in quotes,
Mm.
who are not divorced, but they are not actually married? They are using omugwo. Are you noticing the rate at which women go to visit their children who give birth, stay for 6 months? By the time they are trying to come back home for 1 month, the girl is pregnant again, they've gone back.
Mm.
And men, because statistically, it shows that this great divorce leaves men more lonely than women. I don't
Yeah.
want, there's a lot, like I said, that we would have talked about: the impact on children, the impact on families. So the children are divided, divided loyalty. They don't know who to support. They're thinking, should I support daddy? Should I support mommy? But in
Mm.
most cases, statistics shows that the children are more empathetic towards mothers.
Towards mothers. Yes, that's
And,
correct.
and because of that, most fathers are left alone, lonely in old age. How do we address this? Now we're talking about those who've already divorced, or those who are stylishly, those ones I'm calling them those who are stylishly divorced. Because if you are seeing your husband 1 month in a year, that will not be marriage again now. Be how you see am.
Yeah. The thing with okay, yeah, so of course it's something that we definitely have to talk about. If you find yourself in that situation where you feel alone and your partner has moved on for one reason or the other, or is hardly around you, and you want to, number one, you want to make that time for yourself very productive. You want to make it productive for your health. You want to
Mm,
make it productive for your emotional well-being. You want to make it productive for your spiritual well-being. Then you have to think sometimes out of the box. You have to remember that yes, this other person is not here. This person that completes me is no longer here. So maybe temporarily or permanently or whatever, for whatever reason they are not around. um I'm basically on my own for now. So you have to start thinking about things that grow you as a person. Remember, I've always said the main reason why you were looking for someone in the first place was because you wanted to grow, you
yeah.
know. So now that that person is not there, in order for you to still be happy emotionally, or for you to regain your happiness, the only way you can do that is to look for something that makes you grow.
Yes.
So let's say, for example, you've got work, you've got something you love doing. Yes, carry on with it. Dedicate more of your attention, more of your energy into it. If you've got a business that you wanted to start, or an idea that you had been pitching
You
towards
can start it
yourself,
at 70 years. You can start it at 65. What is stopping you?
Kentucky Fried Chicken. I heard, okay, it's a KFC. Yes, the owner started when he was over 50 years, and it's a
Yes.
worldwide success today. you
Mhm.
know Make sure you do something that completes you,
I like that.
something that makes you happy. There is always something that makes us happy, even if it's music. You can say, oh, I want to um go and learn something in school
Go and
about
learn
music,
how to dance
or I want
salsa.
to learn to
Find a
dance.
support group.
Trust me, those little things, they matter a lot. And then let's not forget exercises. You have to be
Mm,
dedicated. you know if you are growing older, the more you grow older, the more you need to be physically fit. So it's a very, very important thing. You need to also make sure that you're taking care of yourself, so at the end of the day you don't resort to drugs, because the truth is that after all is said and done, you will still feel some form of emotional pain. You still feel some pain. You still feel some depression some at some point. Even if it doesn't get to the point of depression, you will still feel some very heavy emotions. Now, how do you handle
mm,
that? You
mm.
need that physical exercise to keep yourself going. You need to also eat well, because if you don't eat well, you're basically opening doors, to
For illness.
to illness. Exactly.
Yeah, 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 totally. 100%. Find support groups. There are some of them in churches, you know. Find something that keeps your mind going. Don't
Mm,
tie your life to anybody. As much as, yes, we get married and we become one, you know, it might not sound nice, but it's the truth. If life has happened and it has happened to you, and you find that you are now alone in old age, please, please plan for yourself. Even if you're retired, travel, do something that keeps you busy. And why not? If you want to even remarry, you can. You can try another relationship. It doesn't mean that, because you're 70, people find love at 80. Okay, let's move.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw one old mama that was getting married, almost 80 something years, in a nice white dress. And I'm like, maybe she's never been wedded before. And it's happening for her at that age. It has happened. This is life.
Mm,
Let's not take it too serious and think, oh, well, it cannot happen for me again. And don't die lonely. As much as we want to prevent, we want to be able to stay married for life. We want to be able to do marriage and work, honestly, work at your marriage. If you work at it, it will work. Both people working together, it will work. But
mm,
if eventually it happens and you lose that spouse, or the divorce happens, it's not the end of life. This is what we've been saying
yeah.
all this month. You can still live a very good life. Thank you so much, Julius, for coming on the show. Our
Thank you
time
for
is
having me.
up, but we had a nice conversation. I knew it was going to be so rich. You are so full of wisdom. Thank you so, so much. God
Thank
bless
you
you.
so much,
Thank you,
sister. Thank you.
everyone, for your comment. Thank you for those who are going to watch this and see it later. There's a lot to learn here. And again, we keep saying subscribe to our channel, get notifications so when we are live. We are sharing lots of shorts, short videos that you can also learn from. You don't want to lose. What you don't know, you cannot overcome.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is important. Even knowledge about marriage, a lot of us are learning, is helping us. We're researching, we're studying, we're asking questions. Be curious. Don't just do it every day as it was before Christ, word without end. Continue and continue. Even when you see it's not working, try to do things in a new way. Speak with your partner, communicate. And communication is listening. Well, there's a lot. We can't pack it all in one. That's all we've got time for today. You've got any question? We've got a phone number on our Facebook page. You can send your questions directly to me. You need counseling, you can also reach out to us. The other day I was saying to someone, I'm a certified marriage counselor. I'm not doing this just because I have the certification to do so. And if it's more than me, I also have contacts. There are people that I can signpost you to by the grace of God that can help you. I pray that you have a love-filled week. I hope that your marriage is a good one and it's a happy one, and that you're doing all you can, God helping you, to ensure that you enjoy your marriage. Thank you again, Julius, for coming. I
Thank you
appreciate
so much
it.
for having me.
I'll see you on next week. Next week is our first Sunday of the month, and it's usually our love seat. So get ready. We're going to have a fantastic couple here on the love seat telling you about marriage. See you next week. Thank you for watching today's video. We appreciate you. Kindly remember to subscribe and share so you can get notification every time we post new videos. Our promise is to ensure that you flourish in love.